So, how has the word female shaped the story of who you are? So, we're going to dive into the power of the female and the feminine energy and how powerful it is to reclaim these aspects of yourselves and rewrite the stories that you have been told your whole life through your outward experience, what female means and what the feminine energy feels like to you. We are all going to express the feminine energy in our own unique way because we are individuals with our own unique blueprint on this planet, and we are learning to embody those pieces of ourselves in a new and a healed way. And so that comes with dismantling old stories that we've told ourselves our whole lives about what it means to interact with the divine feminine, or what it's like to interact with femininity, and in general, how we perceive the word female. When we are born, we are labeled male or female. And so from the moment we are born, if you are born a female, it denotes that you are born with the biological components of a female. But we have also used it to form gender identity, what we feel represents us as a being, what our soul feels like it is represented by a word. And so in this case, we are going to focus on the word female. And so we are right away kind of told that it is a form of identifying who we are as a being and what we identify as far as like how I'm going to show up in the world. I have my hair, I have my makeup, and my biological makeup is female, right? And you don't have to have the biological makeup of female to identify as female. But there are so many more components to it than just our biological makeup, although the world does a really good job at telling us what it means to identify as female, how we're going to look, how we are going to behave, how we are going to act, is all categorized into this little word. And it is such a small little box for what it really means to have the power of femininity and the power of the divine feminine within us. And that goes for all of us, not just solely biological identity or how we identify as in later in life. So there are constructs that we are sold on this planet, and depending on where you are in the world, it can be different. And so we learn socially to make that part of our story. But what happens when we remove a lot of these constructs, our traumatic experiences, and the ways we've related to the feminine? So when it comes down to it, it's how we see our own mothers, our caregivers that are female, how we see our guardians that are female, our friends, our sisters. How do we see the female from the eyes of who you are as an individual? How has it been shaped? What story have you been told? And is that story true? So what do I mean when I say, is that story true? Is that narrative true that you tell yourself? Because there will always be a semblance of truth within it. But our truths tend to shift and change as we alchemize our experiences, as we heal them and look at them from new perspectives. So that comes with getting to the root of, and in this case, we're talking about female, right? The word female. Getting to the root of what the word female means and what we have seen within our world that has represented that and really shaped the way we view being a female means. And some of these stories are really deeply seated within the narratives of society, so we can't help but see that and take that on. But what we're learning to do is heal those things. That way we can reclaim our story, because that's already within us. We already have that active. We just have to shine light on it and see it so that we can really feel safe and heal what we've experienced with the feminine. And for example, we can talk about the way that the body is supposed to look. And women can relate to this. Like, if you grew up in a certain society, let's say America, Y2K, you were shown that skinny is what represented the female. The female needed to look a certain way to be beautiful. And if we didn't look a certain way, then we were unworthy of love. We were unworthy of our own attention, of our own desires to love ourselves and to, really come home to our bodies. So we were constantly trying to mold and manipulate it to fit a story outside of what is true for us inside. So we could have been taking that on from a parent figure. We could have been taking that on from society, but that's their story, right? That's not our story. And so we can see it as a lesson of like, oh, okay, so I was taking on, and I do take on some stories that aren't true for myself and my heart, and start to relearn new ones. Wow, okay, so if I take away this story that I've been told about the female body and I switch it around and I change it, what's true for me? What feels good for me? And that could still be that your body looks a certain way, that you put on makeup and you look beautiful and feel beautiful in that way. And that's amazing. But that's the story that is you. And so we're learning to rewrite this. And what we did was we created a potent healing around the word feminine. And what that did was it started to reconnect us to our heart center and reconnect us into our Shakti energy, the divine feminine rising, in which we are opening up our heart temple and reconnecting with the cosmic mother, the being that we need to reconnect with to feel safe onto this planet, that piece of ourselves that is the mother, that knows it can be its own mother, that it represents the mother, that it is nurturing and compassionate and intuitive and creative and is full of fire and passion, right? These are things that we are re-embodying. And what happens when we start to really embody all of these qualities is we start to create from our own organic expression of what the mother and the female is for us. Right? And I don't even like using the word female. I like using the word divine feminine because it just feels so much better in my body. But the word female is something that we do have to address when we talk about this, because that will just bring a whole bunch of visuals to the mind if we aren't in the heart. And so we're learning to feel in the body in this meditation and start to really look at all these spaces and places where some cobwebs are and just repattern and retell so that we can really embody our true story, rewrite our book. And so if you want that meditation, it's linked in my YouTube channel in my bio. You can go ahead and grab it for free there. It's completely free. It was supposed to be an energy report, but I ended up recording a whole healing because that's what wanted to come through. So you can grab that in my YouTube and subscribe if you love it, share it. And just let me know what you think. And I'm sending you all so much love. Bye.